neoliberal ideology in the form of Occupy, the Arab Spring, anti-austerity protests, the defense of Latin America's Bolivarian revolutions, and resistance to racialized state violence everywhere. But we have also seen a resurgence of racist nationalism, misogyny, femicide, and authoritarian regimes elected into power. What do we make of our current condition? If you want answers, listen to this book. If you believe the culprit is Donald Trump and his crew, and that all we need is a return to the good old days of Clinton/Obama/Biden, definitely listen to this book. Harsha Walia doesn't peddle easy solutions or liberal bromides. She has a knack for going to the root of our planetary crises and explaining how we arrived here and what to do about it. Those of us who have been reading and following her for years expect nothing less. She is not only one of North America's most brilliant thinkers, but also an organizer who has devoted her life to fighting racial capitalism, colonialism, militarism, xenophobia, patriarchy, and defending the rights of migrants, indigenous people, women, and the unhoused. This book is a shock to the system. The evidence she marshals of mass detention, state-sanctioned violence, the suspension of democracy, the commodification of cares and goods we need to live, and the global scale of authoritarianism will certainly shock anyone out of complacency and disrupt easy explanations for the refugee crisis. Border and rule is also a kind of epistemic shock to the oft-repeated mantra that the U.S. and Canada are nations of immigrants. Critics of Trump and his regime's draconian immigration policies persistently invoke this mantra, insisting that building walls and criminalizing hardworking people seeking opportunity is inconsistent with our values as descendants of immigrants. Besides erasing indigenous and black people, and ignoring the fact that all modern democracies were founded as ethno-national and/or racial states where exclusion and xenophobia were commonplace, the nation of immigrants paradigm implies that the original dream driving European settlement was a dream of freedom for all, but simply unfulfilled. Walia exposes this story for what it is: a lie. The US, Canada, and Australia were not the creation of hardworking, plucky pioneers seeking a better, more democratic life for all, but rather the product of the violence of capitalist expansion and racial ideology. Armed settlers backed by joint stock companies, a colonial state apparatus, and capital in the form of kidnapped labor. Walia attends to the history of settler colonialism and its racist, patriarchal, and nationalist foundations. But she also understands the moment we're in now and where we might be headed if we don't fight back. The resurgence of right-wing nationalism, whether under Trump, Bolsonaro, Modi, Orban, or Duterte, is not history repeating itself. It is not the fascism of the 1930s redux, nor does it mark the end of neoliberalism. Rather, it represents both a continuation of neoliberal logic and a new historic bloc comprising extreme right-wing fundamentalists, corporate interests, and a portion of disaffected working people to form a new authoritarian neo-fascist movement ruled by fear but still governed by neoliberal reason. Vestiges of a welfare state are replaced by an expanded military police state, tasked with protecting national interests, defending borders, creating conditions favorable to capital, no matter the cost to health, the environment, or the most vulnerable people, and to privatizing wealth while socializing risk. As long as the nation-state is understood to be a corporation and therefore owned, ownership also takes on a domestic quality. Nationalist discourse is about protecting the home front, and the nation is cast as a home in need of security in an unstable world. For Walia, nationalism, capitalism, and its neoliberal push for privatization, and the concomitant demonization of the other, the stranger, the minority, the migrant, constitute the real security threat. Granting and protecting liberal rights for all is simply not enough. We need to overturn the system. We need revolution. Walia is not afraid of that word, nor does she underestimate what is required to build genuine and effective international solidarity. The power of a